No, I made up the logo, and then a buddy of
Oh,
mine runs a embroidery business on the
look
side.
at you. Got a guy for everything.
That's look, that's the whole point. Is you're supposed to collect dudes, and
We're
so
not Pokemon, we're human beings. Hey, folks, welcome to the show. I'm Ryan.
hi, Mike.
Yeah. And it's been a little bit, huh? It's been what, 3 weeks?
It has, good
Man,
Lord, it has been a hurricane of activity.
yeah, been a bit busy.
Yeah, I have.
I know that one of the things that you did was you went to the RC thing, right?
I did, and I can finally talk about it. So we
You're
can
off
talk
of
about that
embargo.
now.
No more
Yeah,
NDA.
no more NDA.
Oh
Yes.
man, did you want to talk about that now, or did you want to move on or go start with the projects, or is it a little
We
bit of both?
can. I don't know. I'm piddling and trying to play catch up. So if you want to talk about it now, we can talk about it now.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hear
Um,
about it.
okay. Um, so I think the last time we recorded or sat down and talked, um, we kind of were talking about. I kind of went over my RC truck that I had done, and I was prepping it for this event. And the most I could really say is that there was an event and we were going on a trip and we were going to be driving tiny trucks and all that fun stuff. And the reason being is that I was asked to agree to a non-disclosure agreement about this event. Um, and now that the event has passed, I can now talk about it. So, you have the RC hobby, radio control hobby, and it's got all of its subgenres. And each one is just more niche than the last.
Yeah,
And so,
it gets
you've
all the way
got
down to
your,
like RC furries.
I mean, I'm sure that's out there. I have not run
There are
across it.
dozens of us.
Yeah, pretty much. So, you might, if you go to like your local RC hobby shop, you're going to see, names like Praxis or Axial, those guys. If you're at a really nice place, you might see names like Vanquish or whatever. And so you've got your kind of classic buggy racing, truck racing, go fast on tracks. You've got your bashers; those are the ones you might see videos of. Um, you know, Jumping off skateboard ramps onto people's roofs and back, and
Hmm.
how high in the air can you go and survive the fall and things like that. Um, and then there is a subsection that is devoted to crawling. So it kind of recreates the 4x4 community at scale. And then there's a whole niche of competition crawlers and things like that. And then a subgenre of that subgenre is scale crawling, scale trucks.
And
And
that's where you
so,
found you lived. Like these are my
yeah,
people.
I mean,
It's like it.
naturally,
There needs to be 3 inception layers of niche for me to belong.
yeah, exactly. It just doesn't. It just, you're not going to get my attention unless it's like only four people know about it. So, all that to say, for years, my brother and dad and I would go to Gen Con, right? And so, for gaming community, we were go up there for 3-4 days and check out all the latest cool stuff coming down the pipe and buy a bunch of games, hang out, kind of see what the industry was doing. And then that just got prohibitively expensive. And around that time is when my brother ran across the scale crawling aspect of it, trying to make these things look as real as possible. And that just checked a lot of boxes for us. And so that was probably, what, 6 years ago? Somewhere in there, 5-6 years
Jeez.
ago. Um, there was an event called USTE, the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo. It was down in Florida, and it was a great event. And you go down there, and it was in a nature preserve, and it was tiny little trails that have been meticulously crafted and cut through the woods with little bridges and things like that. And the idea was for you to go and bring your small little trucks and you drive them in the woods and um, force perspective and take pictures and video and try to make it look as real as possible. We did that for Dad and Mason went for 4 or 5 years in a row. I think I made three. And then last year, um, kind of abruptly, the guy who was running it just posted on the Facebook page saying, "Hey, we're not doing it this year," um, and then left it at that. Didn't say why. Didn't do anything like that.
Hmm.
And rightly so. Everybody was kind of bummed about it. And then um, he, not long after that, about halfway through last year, um, I got a letter in the mail. It's kind of cool. I might have it close. Do you remember me, Sean?
Yeah.
The envelope? Let's see. This is your first squirrel of the evening.
Jesus.
It didn't take long.
It never does with you.
No. Anyway, I can't find it. It's here somewhere. As with most things. It's here somewhere, I promise. So, and it was pretty cool. It was, a letter addressed to me with a wax seal on it. And it had a personalized QR code. You go to the website, and the first thing you have to do is you have to sign an NDA that then lets you in to say, "Hey, you've been invited to this group that he was calling the Illuminati of Scale."
But why the NDA?
So the whole point is that, well, one of the whole points is that USTE had grown so much it kind of veered away from what the event was originally intended to be. And so this event was invitation only, capped, I think he said, at like 100 people. And it was really, it was kind of a lot of people were kind of jokingly calling it RC, scale summer camp. And so but what it was is it was a bunch of YouTube folks, Instagram folks, vendors, folks that, were showing up to this event before, but never, because of, I got to run a booth or something like that. They never really got a chance to drive or to hang out or to, and so this was a kind of it was on private property, and for the weekend, and just to come hang out and drive trucks and trade tips and tricks and admire everybody's rigs and kind of talk shop and get to socialize. And it was a really cool event. Really cool event. I'll shoot you some. Yeah, but it was funny because the NDA, I mean, we didn't know anything, so we knew we were somewhere between two towns in Georgia, but we didn't know where. And so we had to sign up. So Dad found us an Airbnb. And then, so we knew where we were going to stay, but we didn't know anything beyond that. And so even driving into Georgia, we still didn't know where we were going until the day before he dropped the pin. And that's when we found out and was like, "Hey, don't show up until this time, and then we'll get things going." So
did you have to wear like a Viennese mask?
What?
Like,
oh, no.
Like a masquerade?
Oh, yeah, no. No eyes wide shut.
Just RC
but it was fun because, it was a good time because it was a bunch of people we hadn't seen in a while. Very laid back event. And then once he got it already kicked off, he was like, "Hey, this is the situation. This is what we're going to do." He goes, "Oh yeah, you're lifted now. Use this hashtag." So hashtag Illuminati at Scale. So what he was wanting to do was, you remember the Barkley marathons? I was telling you about those. How it's this kind of random race that nobody knows when it starts until you see the hashtag pop up on Twitter or Blue Sky.
I didn't know that.
Oh well, yeah. So basically, he's like, we're gonna break the internet today as far as this little hobby goes. He goes, he goes, that's the goal. So go take your pictures, go, and now you can talk about it. And then, yeah.
Well, with the race thing, it's like I already didn't want to, and then you're gonna keep it secret. You keep it secret, but yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good time. So we got to do a lot of driving. So at the old event, there was like 9 different trails, I think, and each one was anywhere between half and 3/4 of a mile, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
This one was a mile and a half long, one continuous trail, but had spots where you could kind of drop in and drop out. And then it really made use because there was such low foot traffic. Um, it made use of a creek, so you could like walk in a creek and get good shots and things
Hmm.
like that. Just it afforded a lot of opportunity for dioramas and picture taking and just not being rushed that the larger events
Yeah.
really just don't afford you. So it was pretty cool. It was
Yeah,
a good
because
time,
I would
really good
imagine
time.
with like a lot of people, you're getting in each other's
Yeah,
way.
I mean, there was like I want to say there was several thousand people at the
Jeez.
last one. Like it got big. Got real big, and then
I
there
just think of
was
that TikTok where
you
it's
know.
like the construction farmers and it's like 10 people just farming with RC, like
Mhm.
plowing and all that. And there's like tons of people around and I'd just be sitting there watching all day if I was there.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the other one, the other one had a lot of vendors and that was cool. So that, for a while there, that was kind of what me and Dad and Mason would do is that you kind of shop for the inspiration. The inspiration for the next year's build would come from the
Yeah.
vendors at the, so like you'd buy like a wheel set or you'd buy a frame rail, set of frame rails or something. And then that would spur you on to have it ready for the next event. This time there was only one vendor. I think Dixieland RC. I always had really good stock. In fact, I got something fun, but it's downstairs. Um, and then yeah, took a lot of good pictures.
Did you guys have enough fuel for the event? For all the cars?
Like, oh, I only brought one.
Just like tiny little gasoline.
Yes, no, I charged up all the batteries.
No,
Let's
man, it's pretty cool to see it in action. I remember like one of the first times you showed me some of that RC stuff. I didn't know it wasn't a real car. You know, like it can be pretty amazing how realistic they get.
yes. So, um, one of the guys, Atlantic Motorsports, is his handle on Instagram. He made a garage diorama, and
Yeah.
so we were doing night runs, and so we did a night run, and so set it up at night, and you lose your sense of perspective. Then we did a night run the night before. It was our first. It was me and Dad and Mason's first night run. Definitely changes what you need to do for how to build your rig.
Hmm.
It definitely is some additional considerations. Let's see. Part of the fun is because you're not in a rush. You can practice doing recovery. So
With your
whenever
little tow
somebody
cable.
rolls the rig and you have winches on the trucks, it's just nice because again, we're seeing people. These are all folks that really know what they're doing, building rigs and paying attention
Cool.
to detail.
So, with that though,
So, mhm.
what projects are you working on?
Oh, you mean this guy?
I guess so. Yeah, that's the progress you made on him.
Yeah, I left my iPad in another room, but I
Yeah.
did some sketching. So for next year, I need to get this guy done.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got some new, I've got some fresh inspiration to do. Um, Pick this guy up and get him moving. Right now, he rolls under his own power. Um, I've got just a lot of fabrication to do, and I think I know where I want to go with it now. I
Mm-hmm.
got a clearer idea of where I want to go with it. I had a major hump that I was getting over trying to fab up some transmission mounts
Mm-hmm.
because I'm getting into the land of everything is custom fabrication now. So I got to sand everything down and either build it out of plastic card, build it out of this stuff that I can't remember the name of. It's some heavy deuce. They use it for wear plates on heavy machinery.
So, like, they start off as man
Delrin?
plates and then they become wear plates.
Haha. Uh, Delrin, I think is what it's called. Um, and then I've got to figure out how I've got bits and pieces of a 3D printed cab for this Beetle. I got to figure out how much I can still use.
Hmm.
Um,
I remember
and
you were working on
then
that a long time ago.
I've been working on this for quite a while. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. I gotta get these links. Um, I made custom links, and
Yeah.
so I gotta get them Loctited in. Um, it's one of those. I was doing really good, and then they made the announcement that USTE was canceled, and not gonna lie, it sucked the wind out of my sails.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was nice. It was nice. It's always nice talking to people at an event, because then you get your juices flowing, like going to a
Yeah.
tournament or a painting competition. Um, it's also nice getting validation,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Of
like
course. I mean,
there
that's the
were,
only thing that gets me up in the morning.
yeah. So, I mean, it was cool to see like major accounts or, YouTube personalities, people that I follow and respect and all that, like coming up to like me and Dad Mason, we haven't met, but I know who you are,
Mm.
and like, it was
One
cool,
day
you know.
that'll happen to me. They'll be like, "I loved you in Fast and Furious
Yeah,
10," and I'd be like,
exactly.
"Thanks," you know.
So,
But that's not me.
yeah,
That's Dwayne, my body double.
right.
Oh, so besides that one though, what are you working on? And your bot
Uh,
bash, which you got to get serious on. You
I
brought it
do.
up.
Yeah,
You were the
I
one that brought it
know
up.
that's like the death knell. You want me to kill
That
it?
this
Make it.
should
Let it.
guilt you into doing it. That should be your
Ah,
priority.
I know. Well, that this was my priority for procrastinating on that, and
Yeah,
now that's passed, I don't have an excuse, and now
to
this is
to
what's
be putting
holding
that
me up from
together.
get back on this. So now I have to finish it.
So those are
So
your two major projects you have in the pipeline, like that you're working on.
yeah, as far as hobby stuff goes, yes.
All right.
I've got that other truck, but to be honest, I want to get this Beetle one done
Yeah, yeah,
first,
yeah. You talking
and
about the Blue
then
Hydra one?
yeah, where I've ripped it off and now I'm trying to redo I've hit
Yeah.
a real wall with the
Just throw that
suspension
to the
system.
side. Work on your Beetle, and well, first work on your big bot bash because that
Yes.
deadline's coming up.
What deadline?
We said end of April, Mister Squirrel.
Ah, that was past Mike.
That was a
That
month and a
was
half ago, Mike.
that was optimistic, Mike. I don't want to hear about it. Oh,
That was the first
so
episode. So being
yeah,
that
no.
it's been 3 weeks from the last one, and it was 2 weeks from then, come on, come on. So those are things you're working on. I'll show you what I'm working on, and this
Okay.
should guilt you further.
I am incapable of feeling guilt
I'm
about this
gonna
kind of stuff.
guilt you to get some work done, sir.
Okay.
So I'm gonna switch over.
Should I just use this War Machine Guardian as a base instead?
Yeah, yeah. Like I mean,
It's all metal.
well, that's basically what I did. So like, I'm gonna show you for the technically first time. I accidentally gave you a preview when I was testing through stuff, but this is my bad boy so far.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun putting
Looking
them
good.
together. So I started off with a spare Relic Knights model
Oh,
that
okay.
that I started off with. Like I have another one of him, and I got him because one, they were dirt cheap at the time. I think I got them for like $5, $5 or $6.
Okay.
But it fit the criteria because he's big and bulbous at the top and stumpy little legs at the bottom. And
Yeah.
then I basically scratch built most of this stuff with plasticard. Because
Hell yeah.
what was the prompts? It was like looking cool for the head. So I
Yeah.
basically gave him metal shades using some orc bits, and I green stuffed his Johnny Bravo hair, and
Sweet.
then even put a little bang on the side here that like pops out. So
Nice.
like
That's awesome, dude.
then I was like, all right, what else works for looking cool?
Hmm.
Looking good. I forget which one it is. And so it's I
Looking
gave
good.
him, how there's rear view mirrors. I gave him
Okay.
a front view mirror that I'm gonna paint sky earth non-metallic like chrome, and
Okay.
that way he can always check himself out.
Sweet.
And What else? What else? So
Get
then
ripped.
there was Up Yours. He's flipping the bird. I made
Oh yeah,
plastic
that
hard
scene.
fingers like that. This was a pain to make these fingers and attach them. And then I redid them because the first set were too spindly. And then like this right here. What else? I gave him a comb
Sweet.
weapon from an orc copter thingy that I've had in my bits box forever. So like I was like, what? I was gonna build it out of a plastic card, but then I saw this in my box, and I was like, yeah, that works perfectly. What else? Oh, and it was pistons for arms. So this is what we were talking about before. I don't really know
Yeah.
how pistons work, but I just decided to do what I thought looked cool anyways because I wanted
As
to give
always.
him. I've always wanted to try this out where I put like it looks like pneumatic, I guess, where it sort of
Yeah.
punches in and helps him punch harder, and then
Okay.
spikes for his shoulders from orc parts, and I bent them using a heat gun. A blow dryer
Cool.
was not enough for that Warhammer plastic; it's too thick. And then
Okay. Yeah.
I repositioned his legs by cutting and drilling, and then because Johnny Bravo wears boots because he was the inspiration for a lot of this.
Yeah.
I used Space Marine shoulder pads for the toes, and then to complete the
Oh,
boot
okay.
look, I gave him like mud flaps. Like you know how anime always has like little flappies everywhere. I gave him rear
Yeah.
mud flap looking things that look like the heel of the boot. And
Okay.
the whole time I'm like, all right, so what's his like signature weapon thingy? I
Mm-hmm.
was like, all right, well, I want him to like fling pomade at people and help them style, like even though it's like acidic, like fuel or
Like,
whatever. So I put on an oil drum on his back, and I was super proud of this part. The metal plating in the that that binds the oil drum to his back. I have L-shaped plastic card,
oh,
and I cut it
cool.
to glue both ends, and then I made little rivets. Like that just came out of nowhere. I didn't know how I was gonna attach this, and then
Mm-hmm.
I just cut it up and it worked. But then I also gave him like
Sweet.
metal studs out of plastic card rods. But the whole idea is that this oil drum is gonna have pomade written on it, and it's his fuel source, so it connects to his body, like his arms, but it's also
Okay.
connected to the sword. And from the sword, the comb sword, it will have a little. There's like a little part here that sprays it out, so it acts like a flamethrower. And I'm gonna use some like water effects or resin, and so it's gonna be like all glowy orange. But yeah, and then the
Okay.
last bit that I was pretty happy for was I was like, well, how is he going to regulate the flow of this pomade stuff? So I gave
Okay.
him a little pressure valve wheel or whatever they're called on the top, and I'm gonna paint it like it's a halo because he loves his mama, like Johnny Bravo. So I was like, man, and then like I know originally we were talking about like cutting a barrel in half as a solution, but it turned out when I
Yeah.
repositioned his leg, it wasn't high enough. So instead, I just put ruins like rebar, and I made
Okay.
like some little metal stuff for him that's all crumpled up. But yeah, like
Sure.
I'm excited now that I've shown you what he looks like. I'm gonna get to painting him.
Sweet. No, he's looking awesome.
Yeah, like oh, the thing too is I wanted to make it without reading because I don't I know I've watched Bill making stuff, but I like it's not one
Yeah.
of the things I've watched a lot of. So
Yeah.
and I've watched his video on Bangarang, but I don't know very much about the world of Gutterlands. So I wanted to
Okay.
make it like how I pictured it in my head and then look at what the aesthetic is.
A
And it turns
hundred
out
percent.
it's like a lot different. Like it's definitely more grungy than what
Yeah.
I'm more of a like anime sort of guy, and that's sort of what this look leaned into was because Relic Knights
Yeah.
is an anime model. So I was
Sure.
like, well, I guess he kind of looks like a bead bot. Like I read after I
Yeah.
made it, I was like, I guess that's the closest thing I can think of it. But
No, don't worry about that.
yeah,
The world. So here's the thing: the whole like Gutterlands and all of that is purely, well, I guess one, it's inspiration.
yeah,
It's still evolving. So just because it doesn't exist now does not mean it can't exist someplace else. um, or can't exist in the future. Anything is plausible. The whole premise is that things have been dropped on the planet from all over the universe. So just because it hasn't been discovered yet doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to
Yeah.
reproduce it.
I figured it was
Um,
like a lot of other sort of indie ones where it's like the aesthetic is yours. Like the whole point is that you get to make it yours. And like this
yes,
is just an excuse to play with toys that you wanted to make. So I was like,
correct.
I'm pretty sure it didn't matter, but I was like, oh, I would like to make it fit in more. So I'm going to try to up the Rust game a bit because that's the other prompt was Rust.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'm still going to make it like I like clean things. So I'm still going to make it mostly clean, but there's going to be Rust everywhere. But I already
yeah,
have a plan for the paint scheme that's going to be pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah. So that's what I've been
So
working on. I put a lot of hours into that, like bending plastic card,
no, you can tell.
bending. Oh, thank you. Bending the tubes was, it was fun, but it was tedious to get it in the right angles. But the tubes worked
Yeah,
out perfect because I was like, I had a couple options lined out. It was like green stuff, like we talked about, the plastic hard rods or the styrene rods, and I had like fishing line. I had acrylic rods. I had all sorts of different options. And dude, sheet styrene is like amazing. Like now I'm super inspired to scratch build a lot of other stuff. Like I already have a few ideas written
yeah.
down of future videos where like all I want to do is scratch
Y-
build stuff. Like
Yep.
I miss that.
Sometimes you just gotta you just need a little inspiration. You need something to
Yeah.
shelf
I mean,
off
I've
center.
always wanted to. I
Just
just never sat down because I always have like Malifaux models or board game models that are already set
yeah,
in stone, and my creativity usually goes into the basing or something like that or the paint job.
yeah,
But like, even though I hate
yeah,
putting models together, I like scratch building models. So
yeah.
like,
I can see
I
that.
wanna do this a lot more often if you stick to the prompts, the deadlines.
That's different.
Yeah.
I will
Oh,
stick to the
okay. Okay.
prompts.
Okay. But you're getting it done, right? You're gonna get it done by the end of this month.
Yeah.
I think you should still build it from your scratch, like not do the protectorate model from War Machine. Did you just spill chemicals all over you, even though
Yeah.
it's
Don't
in a
worry.
holder?
It's fine.
Oh my goodness.
Don't worry about
So I would rather like even though I used a model, it definitely cuts down on time. It definitely
it. I was
lent to the aesthetic that I was going through. So
I was
like
joking
yeah.
about using the protectorate model
Oh, I was
because
thinking
it's
of War Machine models earlier. Like before, when I was looking through all my bits, I have a bunch of War Machine jacks that would fit the bill, but they're metal, and I didn't want to mess with them. Like I have some plastic ones, but metal is it's an atrocious medium to work with.
I it's metal. I mean we've obviously talked about this in the past, but metal miniatures in today's world of oh, before I forget, the other thing about the bill making stuff is again, this isn't a slight or a
Hmm.
judgment, but I think a lot of his aesthetics is built around his skill set at the time that he started. And
Hmm.
so, like the cruddy, grungy, crusty,
It
whatever,
leans into it.
leans into it because it's an easier
Yeah.
you know
When I was building it, I was
um
thinking, I'm like, am I taking away the spirit of it by kit bashing rather than scratch building?
no, not
Like,
at all.
because like the ones that I would see on, say, Instagram, a lot of it would look like it was just scratch built and not like kit bashed. And I was like, man, I'm like if it wasn't for the body of this thing, like that I already had, like it would look completely different. Like I liked the anime aesthetic, so I leaned into that, but like
Yeah,
I don't know. Everything
no,
else I
don't.
was seeing, it looked like it was cobbled together from scratch, and I'm like, well, I'm not ready for that yet.
No, I mean I'm not either on this deadline.
Yeah,
um anyway.
but yeah, dude, like that, it was super fun. Like I'm gonna be doing a lot more of that. Like I already wanted to. Like I already have a bunch of games that I can scratch build stuff. Like we're doing a Stargrave crew together. Like
Oh yeah, we
yeah,
are doing this again.
yeah. Oh yeah, we are. Well, I haven't painted it in a while, or tried to paint it in a while because I had other projects. But like, I have a bunch of other games where I'm like, and models too that I bought just so that I can put them together with ideas I've had, and instead
Hmm.
of them sitting in a box for the last 10 years. I'm gonna actually start like cobbling them together because
Cool.
while I was looking for bits, I was like, oh, I forgot about this model I wanted to turn into just some random character, because just earlier today I was thinking about I was going through Pinterest for some inspiration on paint jobs, and
Hmm.
I was like, see, artists like painters like on canvas and drawers like they make up characters all the live long day, and like with
Hmm.
miniatures we tend to, or at least I see that we use existing forms, right? And then we'll like, you'll see kit bashes, but for the most part, aesthetically, you don't see people making like unique things all the time in the miniature world. And so, like, there are plenty of those people, but it's not like as big as say artists are with character concepts, right? So
Well, do you think that's a function of just the medium? So
I
like
think
if
so because it starts as a game. Like 90% of the time, when you get a miniature, it's for a game. Like they're pieces for chess.
oh, I wasn't talking.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
coming. I'm thinking of it in the standpoint of like, so if you're talking about artists, their whole their medium is starting with a blank page and
Yeah.
building up from there, and so their entire creation process, when you if you get into art, you're coming from the blank page stage. So
Yeah.
everything has come from a blank page, and um, so creating from nothing isn't a big ask
It's sort of
because
baked
that
in.
is
Yeah.
that is the ask,
Yeah,
right?
and that's what I mean
Whereas,
by everything's attached to a game. It's like when you get into miniatures, they're attached to D&D or Warhammer, and
okay,
so it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah,
blank page. You're already in a world. There
correct,
isn't
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
many people who are like, I make miniatures from nothing. That's like Lego, right? Like they can
Well,
like,
it's like Skybor,
oh yeah,
and
that's
that's
right. Yeah, yeah.
right.
Or
So
what
like,
Weird started off as was just making characters, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that I guess that's what I'm getting at is that the nature of the hobby, if you're gonna, that would mean you started as a sculptor, right? And then
Yeah.
you end up, because sculpting, you always start with a blank piece of clay or a
Yeah.
sculpey or whatever, and then you create from scratch. Whereas if you're getting into kit bashing, or if you've come in it from the miniatures hobby and you're branching into building miniatures,
Yeah.
your starting place was not the blank page; it was a
A world
pre-made
that already
model.
had pre-made models. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my
So
bias is coming
we're
from.
talking
Yeah.
to the same point, just from
Yeah.
I guess different.
I think that's where my bias comes from too, because there could be plenty of people out there who are like, oh no, we started with just making characters, but I started from the miniature wargaming perspective. And so
Yeah.
everything I see tends to be that way. I think the closest that I can relate it to that's like a blank canvas are D&D characters. Like
Yeah.
if you play D&D and D and you want to make your own mini, like, or RPGs in general, you have that freedom in your head as opposed to like for over a decade all of my miniature thoughts were in the filter of Warhammer because that was the
Yeah.
only thing I played. So like now that I've gotten the skill accumulation to be able to make these scratch build things as well as like the imagination of knowing what works, what doesn't, like being able to execute on it. I'm like, man, that like I think of these characters in my head all the time of like I would love to see a mini that does this or that. I'm not a 3D printer guy and I don't make 3D design stuff, but I can cobble it together with green stuff and plastic art and I'm like, man, well now I feel a lot
Hmm.
more confident in just doing so. Like
Yep.
I just want to make characters because I don't draw that well. I'm like trying to learn how to draw, but like I can make these and I can paint them well enough where they can work. And who cares if they don't fit into a game? Like we can make it work for Stargrave, or something
Right.
similar. But yeah, like it was a super fun exercise. And I was like, I
Man,
can't wait to start working on the next one.
that is awesome to hear.
What bits are you using?
I am using leftover Gundam.
Oh,
I'm
so
using
that was
Gundam
the other thing that I
sprues.
was thinking of doing was just buying a bunch of Gundam kits and like kit bashing those, not
Yeah.
necessarily into another mecha, but like as spare parts for my future builds because I know I want to make some
Yeah. So
conversions
like,
for my cyberpunk models.
yeah. So like that piece, I had two of them on a sprue. So now I
Yeah.
can start building out the shoulders
What
or like
ways? What length
that.
way are you doing? It length or with whatever.
Or,
Yeah,
like
okay.
that's gonna be wide, and then I'm using a
You're making a
so
bead bot?
it would be the top of a Zaku
Yeah.
helmet, but if you do it like this, there's two
Oh,
little
that's
dots.
cute. Would you
So
put little beads on those?
I don't
Like
know yet.
to make the eyes pop
So
out
like
more? That kind of works too, you know.
so
That's what's amazing about just kit bashing or just like just creating new. I remember when you were working on that ship project where you were making like a steampunk floating ship. You don't have to go looking around for it. I'm just saying when you were doing that project, are you like confused like you don't know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I've 100% forgotten that project.
Oh, you had like a Viking ship, right? Or something like that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's one to
And
visit.
you were going to turn it into like a steampunk airship? I remember when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
showed
yeah.
me that, I was like, "Oh, that sounds like a fun project for like no reason other than for it to exist." And
Yeah.
it really struck a chord again today because I knew we were going to record, and I was really excited to show you what I worked on. And we
Hmm.
went like we were just out hanging out, and I was in an art gallery like a store, and there was an artist there. I love the cubism and Rembrandt lighting. No, like I was just looking at it, I was just like, it's amazing to see people create like new things, and it just really made me want to do that, like just to for its own sake make a cool character, you know, like.
Yep.
And I've been so focused on painting like Malifaux or board game stuff that I kind of like I just only got excited about the paint job part, but
Yeah.
like now that I know I can build characters, I want to make them like all the time. I'm going to probably use a lot of Malifaux models, but like because I love their scale and their base, like the base of it to convert. But man, it's so fun. It brings me back to like playing Warhammer and making your own characters.
Yeah.
Although I don't
Oh,
like
it's
their models
too
now
big.
as much. I don't like the big hands and big feet, heroic scale.
Pro scale. I get
Yeah.
it. Oh, it's its own aesthetic.
Yeah, and it used
I
to do
get
it
it.
for me, but once I got into Malifaux, it was really hard for me to get rid of that scale.
It'll ruin you on
Yeah,
heroic for
yeah,
sure.
like I like a more realistic but still exaggerated look and just style. Like
Yeah.
I'm not into the Warhammer aesthetic as much anymore. Like for its
Yeah.
gothic vibe.
Yeah.
I want
And
space ninjas and cowboys.
yep.
So other than that,
So,
I'd been working on the Guild Box starter set.
oh
Gonna
yeah.
paint that up. Yeah, I'm making my next video on that. I'm excited about this one. It's gonna be pretty cool. So that like, but that one I'm gonna try oil paints for the first time, like as painting, not just washing.
I okay, cool.
What were you gonna
That's
say?
good. Oh, nothing. We can bring it up later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
But
But then
um, so this is what I love. I found these two random bits and bobs
hmm
for Gundam. I glued them together. I don't know why, but now I can put this
and that's your
on
neck,
that. It gives me my
and a
neck.
perfect angle, right?
Sort of.
And
Now
it already
I
has
just gotta
exact holes in there that you can put in a styrene rod
mhm.
for
Or
support.
one of these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Like
Dude,
who
and
knows?
let me tell you, this
But
thing
I'm gonna
right
tell you
here
something.
is
Let me
one
tell
of
you
the
something.
best investments I've ever made. A little tiny electric hand drill. Like
Oh
this
man,
thing
I've seen those.
ever since I got it for my Hoffman crew, like
Yeah.
it has been the best thing ever. Like now I know how to like drill through stuff to make it more creative as well as pinning, like but like it did a lot of work in this project and my Hoffman project. But yeah, like having good tools is pretty fun.
Mm.
So yeah,
Mm-mm-mm.
outside of the guild starter box, the only other thing in my pipeline is like working on those videos and then painting some zombicide stuff. Like I'm dreading having to do a batch paint.
So
Like
is the zombie side like your palette cleanser?
yeah, yeah, it's my I can't wait to paint these things and there's a lot of
Yeah.
them. So I
Yeah.
get like I like it. It leans into how I like to paint with like characters that I love. and
Yeah.
like really saturated, bright, bold colors. Like, and
Yeah.
it's just a fun game. Like the models are just super cool. Like, I get really excited to just paint them up and see what they can look like. Plus, I have the terrain to make a Zombicide game look really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a good palette cleanser, especially since Marvel Zombies, every mini is different. Like every hero and every zombie guy, they all have their own unique base that's like part of their character.
Which is cool. Which is
What was that
cool.
scrunch face?
The scrunch face was that the appealing part of zombie size that you can blow and go, and you can batch paint and get them done and
Oh
whatever.
no.
Whereas, so well, I made the scrunch face like you were like you were making it sound. I was trying to be sympathetic because you made it
Oh,
sound like you enjoy painting the zombie side more than the Marvel, and so because the Marvel had more work
well, like
associated
that's
with
what
it.
I mean though. Is I like playing and painting the heroes because there's a lot of
Oh
work,
yeah.
but the thing I'm dreading is painting the actual zombie guys. Oh, that's cute. See, you're getting on it already. You're you're
Yeah.
you're well ahead of the last however many weeks put together. But no, I'm just dreading painting the tons of models that are all the same. Like
Oh, for
that,
zombie side or for
yeah.
Marvel?
Like for Marvel Zombicide. Like
Oh, oh,
it
for Marvel. That's
yeah,
the key
it's the
thing.
the
I'm dumb.
different skin on it. But like they have like I have two sets of different zombies. There's the shield agent ones for the zombie heroes, and then there's like zombie multiple man for the regular heroes. And there's like a ton of them. Like Zombie Side has, you know. I
Yeah.
cannot stand painting more than one model at a time. Like it drains me faster than anything else.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to figure out a way for me to do that without pulling my hair out, but also still make them look good so they don't look like crap next to the heroes that I've already painted.
Sure.
So that's the one that's in the pipeline for me. I think what we wanted to talk about was like being scared of our own projects, like putting them
Oh yeah.
off, and which is fitting considering, you know, bot
What?
bash.
What? What are you talking about?
Not having done that in a while, but
I'm
like
not scared of it.
more like yeah, you were talking about, or you wanted to
My
talk
my
about the bigger projects. Like I know I have plenty of those in my head that I procrastinate or I push off because I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna have to do this, that, or the other, and I think of all the things I need to do. So what is it
yeah.
for you?
Those two RC builds are my two bugbears
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Because you hit a
And
snag.
yeah, well, I can't remember if we talked about it last time or not. And I'm not going to be the guy that goes and re-listens to see what I said before. Um, but what'll happen is I get intimidated by something, and
Mm-hmm.
so um, you know, like that the beetle build. I think there's like four different things on that rig that are it's giving me kind of hobby anxiety. Um, you know, I call them give a mouse a cookie problems. There's
What?
a there. Well, I have kids, and so there is a kids book series called "If You Give a Mouse a Cookie," and the, they follow a theme, and it's like it starts off if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want some milk. If he wants some milk, he's going to want to clean up. And if he has to clean up, or and
Hmm.
it's one thing after another, and then you eventually circles back around to he'll want a cookie, right? And
Yeah.
it's a cute little way of talking about just because you do one, the thing is you know every action, be mindful of when you do something because it could lead to something else. And just kind of thinking ahead, right? It
Mm-hmm.
opens up discussions for thinking ahead and planning. And so I've started taking to calling things a give a mouse a cookie problem. So like around the house, like right now in the backyard, I need to rip up my back deck. But if I rip up my back deck, then I'm gonna have to do some leveling, and then I got to do this. And then if oh, we want to redo countertops. So if you redo countertops, or no, like, oh, we want to do range tops. If you need a range top, we need new countertops. You need countertops, you need backsplash. You need backsplash, you have to do the other side to match. And then, it's just these things that snowball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've got a couple give a mouse a cookie problems on that build. So like for the longest time, I was intimidated because I got it in, and it's like, okay, well, I got to build my transmission mount. But if I build my transmission mount, then I got to redo all of my mounting positions for my cantilever chocks. Well, if I do redo my cantilever chocks, that means I got to adjust my links.
Yeah.
And so it's this big circle thing. And so like, now the next one is getting the body mounts. Well, I need to get the body mounts, and so I've got it more or less settled. But then I got to put a tab, and I put a tab. I got to figure out the mounting for this. I don't want holes to show for screw heads, so I got to figure out some sort of bar in way for it to mount through the bottom with tabs.
Yeah.
It's this solution requires three other. It just sets a series of dominoes off. I need to close in here. So I need to
Mm-hmm.
make the inner fender wells to cap that off. Well, more problem. Closing in the back. So I've done a lot of work, and I've gotten 4 or 5 different areas to the point to where if the next step is going to just set off this cascade of things and problems, which ultimately will be fun problems to solve.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, because I don't,
They're a bit
I,
overwhelming, right? Because you're
they're
thinking of
overwhelming.
all of them.
Yes.
Like I get,
Yeah.
like you say, give a mouse a cookie. Those problems in my head are, I start to think about a thing and I have to think about all the things. Like that's
All the things.
like,
Yes.
and I don't want to do it unless I have all the things. Like
Yep.
that's my problem. Like when I did
Mm.
the LEDs for those miniatures, I'm like, well, one, I gotta know how to figure it out, like how to do it. Two, then I gotta order everything, and three, I gotta order enough stuff if that plan doesn't work of plan A, I
Yeah.
gotta have a plan B, and then like how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do that? So then I would research all the individual components, even though it's a fairly simple job. But that's what led
Yeah.
me to, well, how am I going to get wiring through some models? I'm going to have to get a better drill.
Right.
And so I ordered
Right.
that drill that's been like a godsend. So, like, but all that led to, by the time I got all the materials over time, because I didn't want to purchase everything at once, like most of the time I do with hobby stuff, or most hobbyists do, really. Like, I wanted to make sure I didn't overbuy and overplan. So I spent months thinking about it, researching it, and then I finally got everything together. And I was really scared of just even starting and screwing it up because
Yeah.
these were the nightmare models, so they're not like exactly cheap, and they're
Yeah.
not like if they're not as easy to replace if I mess them up, and some of them are really tiny. So I'd have to practice on a few things. I practiced on bases and all that, and it was a lot to even get started. But what really
Hmm.
helped, what made me have to get over that was the fact that they had to be done by Fodown. So like eventually a month out is when I started doing the build, and it took a long time. But like that's one of the quote unquote recent projects that were like super scary for me. But that happens
Yeah.
all the time. Like
Yeah.
I just I like people will say that I overthink it, but I'm like, no, like this makes me avoid half the problems. But the other thing is like I don't know all of the problems that are going to occur, and that'll take the wind out of my sails. Or like
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, like when something doesn't work out right, like you hit that point where it's like you have to make the choice, do I abandon this and just say, "Oh well," cuz sometimes it's better to do that. Like you tried, it didn't work it out, like try again in a different way, or do you keep going? And I was just worried of like I have to do this
Yeah.
perfectly. I only have
You
one of
know,
these models.
right. And so there are a couple things you pointed on. One, you're like, I like to buy stuff all at once, kind of like most hobbyists do. I think I would actually push back
Oh yeah?
because I think a lot of hobbyists, I think there's more people than you would. I think you'd be surprised at how many people, you know, they're nickel and diamond their hobby
Yeah.
because it's a hobby. It's,
Like
especially
slow
right now.
purchasing?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
bits and pieces,
Well,
or
I was
I
doing that
know.
over time, but when I first started getting into the hobby, I would buy stuff I didn't need because I thought I needed it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh, so you're saying I'm in the minority?
In the sense of dropping like a bunch of cash on,
Well, yeah. I mean,
you
like I've
know,
seen people in Warhammer stores get like every tool all at once. I guess that was my bias. Was like
oh, yeah,
super glue every tool because they think they need to get every tool in like every box of unit or whatever.
yeah,
I just thought like I was the slow purchaser one because I
oh,
researched everything. But I
yeah,
mean, everybody teach their own, right? Like
yeah.
I
Oh,
do
no, 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 no,
know,
no. Yeah.
I do know that I
I'm
do
just,
buy a lot of tools and things that I plan on using, and then I end up not using them.
yeah.
Like,
That, that actually
yeah,
could be a fun challenge later on is like find a tool you haven't used yet.
yeah.
And then your challenge is to use it in some fashion on your build.
Fishing line is the one of my. I was like, oh, I had so many ideas with fishing line. It's a fresh roll. Like, there's all kinds of stuff in my little hobby cart here that I just reorganized it again a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, oh man, that
Yeah.
was 10 years ago when I bought this stuff. but for like this scratch build that I did for Bangarang, a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
came to use like that L-shaped bracket. Never once used it before. Like
Huh.
and like because I had it, it was a handy solution to a problem I didn't know how to solve.
Yeah, that's one thing I've allowed myself to do in the sense of like you're you're when I pick up little stuff, and we can talk about it later, is you don't necessarily, like it's buying stuff for future squirreled away.
Yeah,
Because I was talking with a coworker the other day about how, I still drive my old Jeep, and I don't get new cars or anything like that for me. And I was like, the only way you can drive an old car is if you keep an old car,
yeah.
right? And sometimes the only way you can drive, the only way you can have this kind of stuff around, the only
Is
way
if
you
you
can become the
accumulate
person
it.
that says, "Hey, I got just the thing." The only way you get to have just the thing is by having a thing
Yeah,
that just sits around until it's just the thing. And so
yeah,
sometimes you got to just bank on like, "Hey, I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but I see potential." And
yeah.
so you're banking potential, so that way when the time comes and you're feeling it, you're in the groove for creativity or whatever, and you hit a little snag or a road bump or something like that, and you go,
Hmm.
oh, I have just the thing.
Yeah,
And the
and
only way you get to have the just a thing is when you're in the hobby shop and you're like, oh, that's like $3. I'm just gonna
yeah, and
grab
that actually
that
relates
and
to the
put it on a shelf.
topic of being, these big projects, having that bank. Like one of the things that I accumulate, even though I may not necessarily know when or have a purpose for it, are miniature bases, like the pre-sculpted
Yeah,
ones. Like I might only need one or two, but I'll get like the 2 packs of 10 or something because you never know when it's perfect.
no,
And
you
for
never
in
do.
this case, like one of them came up, it's like I'm not going to use when I got it. I got these ruined bases for their 30 mil beveled bases, and I'm like, I'm probably never going to use this for Malifaux, but if I have a 40 mil base, then I could put this on top and it'll look really good. And I never
Hmm?
used it before till just now. I'm like, oh, these ones are perfect for this. Like, I just got to build it up with some plastic art on it or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Did you have Big Bot Bash in mind when you bought that?
no,
Absolutely
exactly.
not.
Yeah, I just remember thinking like Micro Art Studio stop making these things. I need to buy some of the ones I like that are very
All
versatile.
of them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I could only get a few off of eBay because you can't really find them anymore.
Yeah.
Like the 25 mil size ones and all that. And then in the same time, I was like, well, if I'm buying from this eBay user and I can like bundle stuff together, I guess I'll get the 30 mil ones, even though I use different ones. Like, because I put them on top of 30 mil bases, I don't want them to be 30 mil in width. So, but
No.
you never
Yeah.
know when, that's exactly what I got. I was like, oh, this will fit for a 40 mil base that I might need in the future. And bam, it works.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But with the other intimidating stuff for me is like stuff I've never done before.
Yeah.
Like, the next thing I'm going to do is oil painting. I've never done like actual oil painting on miniatures. I've done oil washing. I haven't done oil
That's yeah.
paints.
I've done oil washes, oil paints. Oof.
Yeah, like I'm gonna
Oil
see how
paints
it
and
works.
enamels. Enamels scare me.
Oh, enamels, I hate them.
Okay,
Look at
so
that.
not like this. I'm gonna do it like down.
Yeah. Don't forget he has stumpy legs and
Yeah.
spikes.
Oh no, I found these.
Oh, nice. They're like little pneumatic pistons.
So coming back around to this guy that I've been thinking, and I think the idea is that he is. I kind of went on because I know you were doing the Johnny Bravo thing, and I knew well one, I knew if you really latched onto that idea, there was gonna be no way I could like compete.
What? You
Um,
can. Don't
no,
say
well just
that. I believe in you.
uh anyway. So um, but what I was thinking is I started thinking in this with the spikes on the body, got me thinking. Like, do you know what decorator crabs are? Have you heard
Yeah,
of
they
these?
put dead things on their bodies.
They put stuff on them.
It's
Like it can
they're
be
zombies
like
on their bodies.
rocks, and it's not dead things necessarily. It's just like rocks and pieces of
Yeah.
coral. Like they'll like stick a. I had one in my aquarium years ago that put a what are those anemone on him, stuck it on him. But so I was thinking I can
Yeah.
cover him with spikes, and then like so looking good is he's just collecting things and putting it all over himself
Like,
like a decorator crab. And
oh,
so
that's
decorator
cool.
crabs have they don't necessarily have short spindly legs, but what I figured is I could do the short spindly legs within like maybe some long kind of gangly arms.
Hmm.
And then because then they'll have spikes on the end, right? Is that what the end?
Well,
No, the
Spikes was on
finger.
body. Up yours
Yeah,
was the
up
hands.
yours. Um, and then oh man, I didn't glue that on straight. It looks awesome. Sweet.
It was a happy
Um,
accident.
yeah, gives me some personality. Like it. Um, yeah. So that's where I was going with that. But so now I just got to figure out how many.
But yeah, like
Cool.
but with the bigger projects, I know that one of the things that helps me take the step is like the idea of starting, like starting is step one, just start doing it. So you can
Yeah.
research it all the time. Like I do. I think about it 24/7 if it's a big project in my head. And I'll
Yeah.
write things down, I'll make a Notion thing out of it and like draw it out or whatever. But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, like you gotta start. Like so that's what
Yeah.
gets me going on big intimidating projects is like if you just get started, you'll be surprised at how much steamrolling you can do when you get that momentum building. And so like with the big bot bash, I was like I had all these ideas in my head and I wrote them all down of like all these elements I wanted to do. I found some bits, but I didn't have it all together as to how I was going to connect the tubes or, how was I going to do pistons. And like once I started though, even though I'd been staring at these model bits for a month or so now, like
Hmm.
once I finally started drilling the first time, it was like 8 hours went by.
Let's
like,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just happened. Like, I remember it was like super late at night, and I like come out of the room like my eyes are just buggy because I'd been staring at bright lights while I was recording it, and I was just like, oh man, I didn't even realize how much time just went by because I was just like,
That's
drill
awesome.
baby, like cut this. Oh, that's gonna look sweet, and then you get it going, and then you just solve problems as they occur, as opposed to like ruminating on these problems for so long before you get going. So like one thing that's been in my head lately about these big types of big intimidating things, like especially videos, is starting. Just get started. Like just start doing it.
Yeah.
And you'll figure it out. Like you've thought about it enough by the time I tell myself starting is starting. Just do it. And like
Yes.
it's been helping a lot with videos too, because videos, every single one of them, are a big project. Like planning and all like
Yes,
thinking
they
about
are.
everything and as well as performing the actual hobby part is huge. And in at first I was like, man, I got to really think about these things because it takes like a month for me to finish these things. So I don't want to be halfway through it realizing I made a huge mistake. So then I'd
Yeah.
overthinking it would take me forever to get started, but a few of the projects that I did once I just started going, like just started shooting, like Don't have a
Yeah.
plan. Just get something done, and then you'll find out when you need to reshoot or redo things, or like recording voiceover was another one that used to intimidate me. Like, but just getting going is half the battle. So I try to get to that point where I get going faster. Like that's helped me out a ton in solving that problem because I plan tediously, so it's not the planning part. Like I a lot of the times the project ends up more so or less so what I pictured. Like
Yeah.
sometimes even better.
That's cool. I don't, man,
That
I
doesn't happen
can't
for
tell
you?
you. I don't know.
Don't get sad. That turned into a sad moment there. Like, I don't know. I guess I'll just walk off a building.
I don't know. I can't tell you.
No, like,
Is
but
this what I was thinking? No clue.
do you
So,
like you had a sketch, right?
sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you keep it pretty loose in your planning.
Yeah.
So it's not like it can't go wrong. It's loose.
Can always go wrong, Ryan.
The other thing too
Have we
about these
met?
projects, the
Have we
bots,
met?
like
It can always go
the
wrong.
painting makes up a lot of it. Like it
Yes, I
ties a
do
lot
agree
of
with
stuff
that.
together. But like
It's like a good rug.
that's actually very true. But I guess that's always been my problem is starting on these very intimidating
Yeah.
things. So like I don't know for other folks what their biggest problem would be. Maybe it's planning, like having an organized system. Maybe they need their tools organized. Like that helps
Yeah.
me out a lot is knowing where everything's
So
at.
something we've talked about in the past is, um, a lot of times, what keeps me from getting started on something is me going, "Oh man, if
I
I'm
only
going to do
have
this,
yeah.
I gotta, I gotta come in and be able to dedicate. You know, if I can't get 5 good hours of sit down time with
Then
this,
what's
then
the
it's
point
not
of
even,
starting?
worth it."
Yeah.
Yeah, and um, I don't know.
But like
Is that
that's
something you still face,
I
or
always faced that because I spend tons of hours painting, like to the standard that I like. So it's always chunks of an elephant to me. Like
yeah,
we were talking about it on the Students of Conflict podcast that I was on. Brian was like, "Well, I only get maybe 30 minutes to an hour a day at most to paint." And I'm like, well, then
yeah,
make sure that it's, and he was mentioning, and then I got to get the paint out, and then I got to do this, and I got to do that. And I'm like, well, eliminate those parts. You know, like me, I like everything organized. So if it's a building
hmm,
thing, I have trays in my cart here that are just for the building part, hobby knife, glue, whatever. And so instead of
yep,
spending 2/3 of your time getting all your stuff together, if you only have 30 minutes, make it a solid 28 minutes, where all you have to do
yeah,
is turn your light on and get going.
yeah,
I think that hits a lot of people because
yeah. We're
people
busy,
just put
man.
it like all of their stuff in a bin or whatever, and by the time they get going, like they have to take it all out again. And I'm like, no,
Oh, I meant in the sense of it
oh,
hits
time.
everybody in the sense that, yeah, because I mean, where everybody's
Yeah,
got jobs and
for
lives
sure.
and
But like if you are
spouses and
if you
girlfriends,
only have 30 minutes and
partners.
you do want to paint, you can turn it into 28 minutes of painting rather than 15.
Oh
So
no,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
the
Your
part
point
I
is
was trying to
100.
get at. It's like
Yes,
it's a different thing, a different conversation on motivation or whatever. But part of the motivation killer is the thought of, oh, I got to get my paints out. Oh, I got to get this stuff out. And we may not all have the space to have like I'm fortunate enough to, but like if you don't, like when I didn't in a dorm, I had a tackle box for everything, so all I had to do was open it and everything. I knew where all my colors were laid out without even picking them up. That kind of thing would help me
yeah,
get going. And then taking bites out of the elephant of, yeah, sure, you may only have 30 minutes of time, but if it's really been something that's eaten away at you all day, like spend that 30 minutes painting. And then like, 30 minutes, you can get a lot of stuff done.
you
Like,
can.
like it may not be everything you want to get done, but it also motivates you for the next 30 minutes, like tomorrow's
Yeah,
30 minutes. Like, oh, like when I'm on a roll of drilling, or cutting or putting this stuff together. I don't want to stop, but if you have to, it's just going to make you hungry to do it more, and then you eliminate the idea of like, oh, I don't want to do it because you left out all your tools or whatever. So
Yeah.
like organization to me, and I've seen that's probably an issue for a majority of hobbyers I've seen. Like their setups aren't really as efficient as it could be, and it's not like a priority to have to, but if that is one of the things that keeps you like at the issue of starting your projects, then like having a good fun day of organizing your stuff and clearing out things you don't need anymore and making sure everything's in arm's reach that you need, like that's always
Dude.
soothing for me.
Yeah.
Don't get sad again. I know it's not always the easiest thing, but like I try to do that, or I try to think of it the same way people think of chores, like
Yeah. Well,
just
yeah,
trying to take
and
that bite out
again,
of the elephant.
we're in two extremely different
Yeah, I mean,
life situations.
again, I know that
I'm not.
I'm much more
That isn't a
fortunate. Yeah,
no. It's not a fortunate. It's not fortunate. Unfortunate. It just is.
yeah.
And I was yeah. I was like we joke about how in disarray my workspace here is,
But you know where
but
everything is.
I do.
No, you don't. You were just looking for your ship thing in your head.
It's right there. It's in that box. Down right there. That box. I'm looking at it right there.
You know what's funny too is when I was looking through all the bits, I thought I was already organized enough, and I couldn't find this very thin sheet of plastic card that I knew I had, and it was in the wrong
Yeah.
place. So once I discovered it was in like my closet somewhere accidentally, I just stopped right then and there and reorganized my hobby drawers over here to be like, all right, you're a plastic card drawer now.
That's funny. No,
Yeah.
that was that I need to. I was I need to get my garage back in order. My garage, like, what I heard someone say the other day that laundry is a state of being. It's not a task. And so,
Similar
like,
to
you're
dishes.
always, yeah,
Yeah.
and so, eh? Does he have a? Does he have a? Yeah. Um, and so my garage is kind of always in this state of flux makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I need to. I started training last week for real, and so now I need to
A
start working
place
out
to,
again.
yeah. Well, you remember,
And
oh, it
I don't have the
wasn't,
square footage.
it was off camera or whatever when we were talking about our garages. And then it took us talking about that for me to organize my garage. And
Yeah,
and like all it took me was maybe like a couple hours like of serious get stuff done, don't stop moving. Like that helped. That's how I have to do chores a lot of the time, is like just get started and don't stop moving, because as soon as I stop I don't want to do it anymore. But
yeah,
it took a lot less time than I thought to take this garage that you could barely walk in and turn it into a nice clean space that makes your brain not want to kill like yourself, and then
yeah,
also clear it up for Christie's stained glass station, which she loves, and it
yeah.
got
I
her.
was
Oh, she loves
okay.
it. She's been
Is she still
doing,
doing it?
yeah. In fact, I think it was last week or so. Oh, that's cute. I love the neck thing.
Yeah, it's his like a rooster or a turkey,
Oh,
like his little waddle. There we
he
go.
makes me think of that tall Star Wars character from Rogue One, the
Oh
murderous
yeah,
robot. Yeah. But no, she loves the station, and it's exactly the same thing that we're talking about now, because she loves doing her stained glass. But every time she thought about it, because of the disarray that our garage was in, and she didn't have a system for her glass stuff, she'd be like, "Well, then I gotta find the grinder, then I gotta get the foil, and then I don't remember where I put the lead and my soldering iron or whatever." So by clearing out the garage and having her, like, we installed shelves and a light for her, now she's in a place where I'm at with hobby stuff, where she just has to go out with her pattern and she can start. And like I think it was last week or the week before, like I think I was streaming or maybe we were recording or something, and she was like, you know what, oh no, it was a weekend. I was just recording. She thought to herself, I'm just gonna make something simple, and she got a simple mushroom pattern, made a mushroom with the hangers on it and everything, and she was
Yeah.
done as soon whenever I was done recording. And yeah, I was like, dude, look at that. You just started and finished a project because we had the space organized properly,
Hmm.
and like it cleared the clutter from her brain to be able to just start something that she wanted to do, which like the last time she really did stained glass before finishing a project was like years ago because of the state that it was in. So a lot of
Hmm.
what we build up in our heads, to me, like when we met, I was not this organized on this stuff, like 10
Yeah.
years ago or so. And over time I learned like this is the only way I can get stuff done is to have a plan, you know, done before I start planning, like having
Yeah.
things where they need to be. So now we finally got her stained glass station to where that's at, and I'm super excited because I told her like I want you to make me some elaborate stuff. But no, like it's I think that's half the battle when it comes to the big projects. I think that helps out with the intimidation factor of it all.
Yeah. That and mental health. Like,
True, true. Oh God, what are you making, creme brulee? Dude, you're not in a well ventilated area.
do as I say, don't do as I do.
Oh my goodness, you're the worst. You know, I had a
Oh,
heat gun bending plastic and I smelt a fume and I was like, better go outside.
well, you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, what did you have anything else on big projects?
Disclaimer.
Yeah,
Like,
disclaimer, do not do what Mike does. Did you have anything else to say about big intimidating projects?
uh, I don't think so. I mean, I guess more so in the standpoint of like one. I think you'll find that more often than not, it's just big and intimidating in your head,
Yeah.
and you're your own worst enemy when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I think I do like your starting is starting,
Yeah.
just get it going, and because I know personally, I know that stuff will snowball on me, or I just work it up too much in my head,
Mhm.
and for no real reason, and then and I don't. I can't tell you the last time I started a project and I was like, when I got to the end, I wasn't thinking, oh, why did I why did I make that out to be such a big deal? And then you're almost mad at yourself
For
because
not starting sooner or
yeah,
making
or
it a big deal.
letting it intimidate you.
Makes me think of a TikTok that I watched that she does a bit that's like, how long does it actually take? She talks about chores or things that she's wanted to do forever. And she's like,
Yeah.
let's talk about how long it actually takes. And she does it. And she's like, that took me 30 minutes. And I'd been putting
Hmm.
it off for 2 years or something like
Yes.
that. So yeah, it building that momentum is huge. Yeah. Cool,
Mm.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
That
So,
and if you are
oh,
letting it intimidate you, don't like it's okay if you feel intimidated by something. don't let don't beat yourself up for being intimidated by it.
oh yeah.
Don't let it affect your mental health.
For
It's
sure.
a hobby.
It's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. Not relaxing all the time. It's stressful at times, but it should be a good stress, like challenge. But yeah, if it's starting to affect you like that,
Dude, I've let
switch a
like
hobby for a minute.
ooh this
Did you
upside.
get inspiration?
No, I almost did this upside down.
Oh, well, with that, the last thing I wanted to bring up is hobby
Yeah.
hostage. I want to hold you hostage to this.
Oh,
Do you think that you can get this done by next episode? 2 weeks, man.
I mean,
Two
well, I was
weeks.
about to say that's a genie question, sure, and then we don't record for another 6 months.
Well, two
Uh,
to three, right? Like life happens, you know. There, and we might
yeah,
like because last time we had to just postpone by a week, but
yeah.
by the next episode.
I think. Well, does that include paint?
I'm painting.
Well, yeah, but you're Ryan.
You have an airbrush too. You can just spray on stuff.
I'm so mad at my airbrush right now.
Aren't we all? We all hate our airbrushes
We're
secretly.
we're in a constant state of I
Yeah.
hate you.
Oh, it's so easy. I want to slap people on this. It's not easy. It's like
Well, no, it is easy. Putting paint through the brush, super easy. Just as easy as dipping a paintbrush
yeah,
in a bottle
and
and
just
going,
doing it right
so
or doing it well.
doing
Let's
it to
aim
a
for getting it
standard.
done. Well, one we set the deadline of end of April for sure. But
Man
you
plans,
know,
God laughs.
yeah,
Uh,
I want
let's
to
see.
aim for it so that it puts some fire under us.
Okay. Um, I mean, in all honesty, end of April is a realistic goal.
Okay,
Um, I'm just trying to think how I'm going to carve out time. That's
true.
all.
But
I just got
one of the aims of us meeting was to hold each other accountable.
no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like I'm not. God damn it.
Drill,
Sorry. What'd
drill
you
it
say,
up.
drill?
Drill because you're putting a flat surface on a round surface, right?
No, I'm putting a flat surface on a flat surface.
Oh, okay. Still
That
drill.
is, but it's a curved surface.
That's not a flat surface on a flat surface then.
They're both curved in the same radius.
Are they the same radius? Because that's two different things.
Yeah.
That's
John
definitely
Cleese
not
said
the same radius.
totally the same radius.
You're rounding up, sir.
So it counts.
Didn't you go to a school
Horseshoe,
for this?
horseshoes, hand grenades,
Just
and
drill.
round surfaces on round
Now I
surfaces.
drill everything. I'm like, oh, that's questionable. Drill. But
The
yeah,
pit bashing, it's just
we'll aim
more
for
greed.
the same deadline of end of April. But I would love
Yeah.
for it to be next episode. How about that?
Okay.
I'm such a great hostage taker. You know, like I'm negotiating with the
Is that okay?
hostage.
Is that okay
Are
with
you
you?
okay?
If that,
Are you fine with this?
all
Did
right.
you need any pizza? Or
Yeah.
but I think that's a good thing because I'm eager to get some paint on this stuff, and I want us to match
Oh, it's
up.
100% crooked. Oh well.
Well, that leans into the aesthetic.
Yeah.
My studs aren't perfect, but yeah,
Me neither.
okay. So that's what we're gonna do. Anyways, anything else you wanted to mention before we head out for the night?
Mm, no. Don't think so.
Cool then.
Oh,
Oh
I was
oh,
gonna say plug. I was gonna say we're gonna do plugs. I was gonna do plug your local hobby shop. You
your
got an
local.
RC store. Yeah, your local game store, your local hobby shop,
Oh,
local
okay,
craft store.
okay, yeah, yeah. So
So instead
then,
of a hashtag or whatever, so you're talking enamels. One, I went by the
oh my
RC
god.
shop. Christopher wanted to do. He wanted to go swing by the RC shop to go look at toys. Because he
Hmm.
loves all things RC. And I was raised in hobby shops, and so I try to, whether it's Montags, card shops, game stores. Anytime I go into like a specialty store like that, I try to find something to buy.
Hmm. Yeah, same
Because
here.
if you
Support.
don't, then they're not going to be there the next time you want to go look at stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't really need anything from the RC shops just because they don't cater to scratch builders. Um, and so, but I did pick up some more Tamiya fine surface primer. This stuff, have you used this stuff?
No, because I have an airbrush.
This will make you a believer. It's
I don't trust
is good.
rattle cans anymore since I started priming through an airbrush.
I understand. For those of you without a rare brush,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
it is not cheap. I'm by no means. This can was $12. It is not cheap.
Krylon's 4.
I know, but this stuff, I
It's like
have
your
never had. I've
yeah.
never had hairy. I've never had rough. It is meant for scale. Like this is what the military modelers use. This is like it comes out butter smooth.
I should try that then because there are some times
Yeah,
where I don't want to do it through an airbrush like terrain. Like I want to
Yeah.
hit a wider radius. So yeah,
Yeah.
I might try that out one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So that's
And
your
then
plug.
that yeah, and then I picked up some Tamiya panel line.
I've heard great things about that for like Gundam stuff, right?
Yeah. It comes with a little brush. Look at that.
That's not as
Look
fine
at
as my brush.
that. Still,
Although
but
I
yeah,
want to
so
get that for
it's
Christy because she built a Gundam and had fun with it, and I want her to try that.
I would love to see that. I think that'd be fun. Want to do one of these, and we'd all just sit there around your table, and it's just a top-down view, and we just like shoot shit and build Gundams.
Ooh, kit bash them maybe even too.
I don't even care about that. Like, I
Yeah,
just love building Gundams. There's, it's
they
so
are smooth
cathartic.
kits. They are smooth kits.
It's
I was
so like
surprised.
you don't have to think.
Yeah,
I mean, I say that your first time building a Gundam, if you haven't like spent time with those kind of models or stuff like that, it
it
can
can
be
be.
very
Yeah,
intimidating.
exactly.
But once you figure them out and you catch the groove, like you don't have to think. You can just roll with
Yeah.
it.
For
Everything
others,
snaps
if
together.
for others, if you started with any other model kit, this is like a breath of fresh air. Because I started with your
Yeah.
regular old model tanks and cars,
Oh man.
and this it
Like
like when Christy was putting it together, and I was like looking at it, I was like, dang, this is nothing. Like this, and there's like hardly any mold lines, hardly any like if
none,
no, any. No, the
hardly
flash
at
is
all.
hidden really well, and they're multi-part, like they move and
Yeah.
stuff. Pretty cool stuff. So since you're
Yeah.
plugging
No.
items, I guess I'll replug Aeromax hand drill. Get it
Link
on
in the
Amazon.
description below.
Yeah, super cheap. I think it was like I don't want to misquote it. It was surprisingly cheap. Works really well. Very very tiny drills. Like so paperclip is usually what I drill for. This stuff can get
Yeah.
smaller than that, so I can even pilot hole for paper clips. Whenever I
Oh,
had a
nice.
hand drill, I could never
Yeah.
go into models' feet. And so like when I would see other people
Oh,
have the model on a pin vise, I'm like, how? How'd you do that? This stuff is how. Now I understand why people drill into heads and paint them on their own. Like, never knew that. So that's my plug is a drill.
man. Look what I got done. Got a head with little eyeballs
I like the
and his
mouth,
waddle,
honestly. The mouth works.
and then his little side spikes, built up the neck
Are
a
those
bit.
Tau? Oh no, Gundam pieces, okay.
This is Gundam
Yeah, they're
piece.
all
Again,
Gundam so
it's
far.
the Zaku. It's the Zaku head. No, this is from a
A tire?
Corsair. Yeah, it's a tire. It's a wheel from a Corsair. Um, F4U Corsair. It's a naval airplane.
Oh, okay.
And then this is from Gundam. That's from Gundam. And then I had this thing from Gundam. So now we're
Cool.
starting to work out the balance. So
Nice. I wonder I'm
yeah,
excited to see what you come up with up yours.
yeah, I gotta think on that. I use my
You
X-Acto knife
use your
and
exact knife.
try not to shove it through my palm.
Jesus, that is
Anyway,
terrifying, sir. Get a drill.
and on that note, I
And
have
on
one
that
right
note,
there.
all right, man. It's been great hanging out.
All
We'll
right.
see you guys later. Keep
Yep.
hobbying. Have a good one. Bye.
Yay.